Hello Magic the Gathering players, this is Mills from MTG. We are back with some Budget Modern, and today I am very excited to share a deck with you. You know, yesterday with the Crab Rave, I was really excited. So when I made the list of the videos for the week, I kind of I made the list and I was kind of excited because I remembered there was this deck I used to play in Standard, and now all of you are going to hate me in the comments when I say this, but yes, it is the Saheeli Ray and Felidar Guardian combo, and so I'll get into what that is exactly when I start explaining the deck, but it's a lot of good memories for me, and I was like, what version of the deck did I play? Like, I played several versions of the deck, but there was one that I ultimately decided to land on. And so I played a 4-color version of the deck that played things like Oath and Nissa, and then a bunch of things like there was this Cloud card, and then Rogue Refiner. Let's just say half the cards in my deck eventually got banned. But the point is, I played Jeskai Green. I played what some people call vegan Jeskai. And so when I was thinking about, okay, but if I wanted to do a video on this, what could I add that's new? And I remembered, oh wait, Omnath is vegan Jeskai. So we do have Omnath in here. We managed to squeeze Omnath in here. It is 4-color Saheeli on a budget. As you can see, we're 98.21. When I went on to make the to start talking about the deck, I noticed that the deck had gone slightly above $100, so I tweaked the sideboard a little bit, but really, the sideboard is really soft. You can do whatever you want with it. They're suggestions. It's for like a wide range meta, where I know personally the meta where I'm at is like 90% burn. Anyway, so, and that's like in a normal metagame, not like, oh, card just got banned, aggro is important. No, it's just always burn. Anyway, hopping right into the deck right after that, we do have Saheeli Ray, which is one of the main cards of the deck, which has +1, scry 1, deal 1 damage. Quite often, you're actually going to be able to just kill people like that if you have enough of like control over them. Hopefully you won't need to, because that would take a really long time. But -2, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. That token gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. So, it enters untapped with haste, and we can copy an artifact or a creature. Now, we don't have any just artifacts in the deck, so there are other cool things you can do with Saheeli, which I might see if I can do that in a budget form. It plays Karn the Great Creator, so it might get more expensive. But in this, what we're trying to do is we're trying to copy our creatures, namely Felidar Guardian. When Felidar Guardian enters the battlefield, you may exile another target permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If we do this, then what that's going to do is it's going to exile our Saheeli, and it brings it back immediately, not at the end of our turn. So if we turn 3 Saheeli, turn 4 Felidar Guardian, then we're going to be able to just easily be able to mine Saheeli, copy Felidar Guardian. Guardian enters the token with haste, untapped, flickering Saheeli again. Saheeli -2s, create a copy of Felidar Guardian. That copy has haste, and then you flicker, and then flicker, and then flicker, and flicker, and flicker, and then you get infinite Felidar Guardians. And I hope I explained that clearly. It's not a very difficult combo, but really, turn 3 Saheeli, turn 4 Felidar Guardian, you win the game. Most times. They might have something to mess with you, but usually it's not enough. Next up is other things that I want to talk about, other things we might want to copy. Omnath isn't great to copy, but it does get us an extra card if we really need it, where Saheeli is +1 scries, but doesn't actually draw us a card. And then also, if we create a copy, maybe we're like really close We don't really have the ways to consistently get the third time, which I know people are going to comment, why are you running Omnath if you don't have ways to get the third time? That's because just the 4 life is insane in a control deck. 4/4 and then landfall gain 4 life, I would play that in this deck. And then it also says if you play a second land, then add all of those colors. Anyway, the ultimate point is I have this in here because I think it's a really good top end. Next up is Reflector Mage, which is a card that was also banned in Standard when I played this deck. So I didn't realize until I built this deck that I could Saheeli Ray on my own Reflector Mage to create a copy of the Reflector Mage to just bounce something to their hand. Where I always imagine this with cards like Meddling Mage, where it's you can where it reverses the effect when you leave, but no, you just bounce something to their hand with Saheeli and they can't play it. Anyway, I'm gonna hop into some of our ramp as well, because those are things we want to copy, but our ramp is Lotus Cobra, landfall, add a color, helps with our mana fixing, also helps with our ramp. Servant of the Conduit, you'll notice we have some spicy energy synergy in here. Now, I really like the energy in decks like this. Trust me, I've played this deck so many times. Like, even, like, while it was Standard even, like, I played this deck, so I know what cards would be good in that kind of a deck. Now, Standard and Modern are different, I understand that. But having a 2 of Servant of the Conduit, 6 Lotus Cobra, that's going to put us in a nice spot. It's going to allow us to also filter for whatever we need, especially with Omnath. Next up is the Tunith Ether. You get energy, and it's going to be able to search our deck for some basic lands. And you'll notice that we are playing a few basic lands, enough that this is a good card. And then we do get the energy, which will be used later. Lightning Bolt for removal, or a way to deal a little extra damage to them. Harness Lightning, choose target creature, you get energy, then you may pay any amount of energy and it deals that much damage to that creature. Now, people are going to be like, oh, don't play Harness Lightning, but it does add synergy to the list. And let's say we're going up against a Monastery Swiftspear, we can decide to only pay 2, keep that extra energy, and we have ways to use it. Mana Leak as a way, as just, it's a control deck, you can probably assume why we would have counter spells, but it's for really anything that we don't have the ability to deal with on the board, but we can deal with on the stack. And in Modern, unless they pay 3, is practically counter target spell. Then Oath of Nissa says, when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal a creature, land, or a planeswalker from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then, to cast planeswalkers, you have rainbow mana. But if we have Oath of Nissa on turn 1, maybe we ramp turn 2, then turn 3 we don't quite have Saheeli, but we do have Felidar Guardian. What we can do is we can Felidar Guardian and flicker our Oath of Nissa to keep looking through our deck for our combo. So Oath of Nissa does have several purposes in the list, but it is very nice for filtering our deck and filtering our mana if we really are struggling, which we won't really be. Next up is our mana base. After such a it's a lot of cards. When you play it feels like good stuff pile, but really it's, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I will tell you, this is like a really fun control deck to play. If you think control is not fun, this deck is probably what you want to go with. Next up is our lands though. We have Ether Hub, which is going to add an energy, and then we can pay an energy for any color, and this is going to be huge, especially with our other energy synergy in the deck. But we also have the ability to just add whatever we need at that time, and then a lot of our cards also filters, so we don't really have to worry about only having that one energy. Evolving Wilds is a full 4 of. If you have normal fetch lands, put those in here, but Evolving Wilds in here as a very budget fetch land in order to trigger Omnath twice per turn. The 4 life will be enough, quite often, but if we want that extra mana as well, what we can easily do is just have Evolve in Wilds and then trigger it twice. We also have landfall through Lotus Cobra. So we do have Evolve in Wilds to trigger things, but really Omnath is enough being a 4/4 that gains 4 life and occasionally adds mana. We really, like, I know people really want to combo off with it and go ridiculous like it went off in Standard, and I had the grace of never going up against the Omnath control deck in Modern, but, like, I played it once, but, like, Omnath, like, it wasn't, like, Standard at all, but, we're not comboing off with Omnath. He's a top end that does help us here and there whenever we need it. Next up, we have 3 Forest. It's our main color and provides all of our color fixing. Island, because it is important to our deck, but it is the least common color, well, that we will actually need to use. I don't really take Omnath into consideration for that, because we need all of our colors at that point. Mountain, because we do want that extra removal. Plains, because we need to be able to hit our combo. Shivan Reef, I know it'll deal damage to us, but Shivan Reef is a very budget way to filter our lands. Temple of Epiphany, still blue-red, and I know that, like, I know that you guys might not like Temple lands, but when we're playing a combo deck and a control deck, it kind of lines up perfectly like a Venn diagram of Temple in the middle. So Temple is going to be a slower land, but it's going to filter our deck. It's going to allow us to get what we need. So that's why it's in here. If you guys want to add more Temples in, you have to really make the decision of, okay, do I want to give up my tap lands, well, my untapped lands, because I'm not giving up my basics. You guys cannot give your basics up in this deck, because you need to be able to hit them with a Tune with Ether. You need to be able to hit them with you just really need to be able to hit them with the Tune with Ether. I really like the card, and it allows you to filter your deck super easily. Next up is Yavimaya Coast. It's a blue-green pain land, and I know that you might think that there's a lot of pain in this list, but when either you win on turn 4 or you eventually grab Omnath, you don't really care about losing that life. So, Yavimaya Coast is in here for that fixing. As you can see, the main 3 colors of the deck are basically everything excluding white. So, really, we don't really have a dual land for white other than Ether Hub, but we have these in here just because we do need that little bit of filtering in the early game before we hit our land drops. But through playtesting with this deck, we almost never, like, once I got this set of lands, we almost never struggled with our mana. We struggled a bit at the beginning because I had to try to tune things, but this is perfect. Next up, before we get to our sideboard, I just want to say that I love making these decks, and I noticed that on my channel, like, the top decks are actually what I specialize in. I specialize in Graveyard, Combo, and Control, and that's exactly what is popular on my channel. So if you want to see more of those, then please let me know. One of my highest viewed channels so far, I think, is Lantern Control, with almost twice the views of any other deck, and then the other decks are Control decks or Dredge, and it's just seeing view counts go that high makes me really happy. If you guys want to see more combo, control, or graveyard decks, please let me know. I can focus on those more if you would like, because honestly, those are what I'm really good at, even though I play practically anything. So if you want to see more of those, let me know below. And if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and then tell me, yo, this is cool, yo, I want to build this, or tell me stuff like that, because I like seeing those. I've been seeing those messages a lot more recently in the last 48 hours than before, so that made me really happy. So also, if you want to get notified of whenever I post new content, hit that subscribe. Anyway, back to the sideboard. Sideboards can be fairly loose, especially with control. And so, because you don't really necessarily have, this is a combo deck, and a control deck, but quite often control decks are more than willing to take out cards with other cards where combo decks can be tighter. This deck is kind of a weird mix of both, but it's perfectly okay with the sideboarding. But you can be flexible with your sideboard because really it's more of a what is your meta. This is more for a diverse meta, but we're going to dive right in. Ceremonious Rejection, counter target colorless spell for Tron. Ether Gust for aggro and combo decks. Celestial Purge for aggro and mid-range decks, particularly Jund mid-range and Rakdos Death Shadow. Disdainful Stroke for control matchups, Tron matchups, etc. Rest in Peace for Graveyard Hate, and Weather the Storm for Storm Hate. Now, I know I said Ether Gust for combo hate and then Weather Storm for storm hate. You bring both in. Now, Weather Storm is really good for trying to deal with things like Grape Shot, where Ether Gust is very good for trying to deal with things like if you want to bounce or pass in flames, that's a big blowout to them. And by the way, if you are able to, if they're flashbacking past in flames and you Ether Gust them, it works the same way that it works with Remand, because exiling is part of the cost of the card, so it won't be put onto their deck. It won't be put to their hand. It just gets exiled if you Ether Gust or Remand a flashbacked card. Anyway, I hope that was helpful, and I really like this deck. Let's see if we can keep 4-color control going in Modern, and I will see you next time.